Welcome to the TTouch for Dogs. Linda Tellington-Jones, one of America's foremost animal experts, developed the TTouch as a result of over 40 years of work with animals. Over the years, the TTouch has been practiced in over 30 countries on almost every type of domestic animal. And the techniques you will learn in this video are used in zoos worldwide. Enhancing your relationship with your dog and improving their health and well-being is what the Tellington Touch is about. Now, here's Linda.
This is our star, Jessie. Jessie was a come-down-the-road dog who was one of the stupidest dogs I ever worked with. She had so many bad habits. She would run away when you called her. She was constantly jumping up. She tore so many screens with her paws and got them so muddy that she was very unpopular. And she just didn't think. She was a really wild, uncontrolled dog. And we've done a great deal of touch on this dog. In the beginning, Linda, her owner, sent her for some traditional obedience work, and throwing her down and pinning her just was making her more excitable, not more confident and more cooperative. So we did a lot of touches all over her body, and she's turned into a very confident dog. She sleeps with me a lot of the time, which I really love because she's one of those dogs who gets up on the bed only when I ask her, and then she doesn't move a muscle all night. She comes when she's called. She doesn't jump up anymore, does she? But she's had this little trick where she's learned to kind of sit up and just give a paw so she doesn't ever get you dirty anymore. So what I'd like to do is show you some of these touches that you can do with your dog that will make a difference. Whether you've got a behavioral problem you'd like to change, or you've got a physical problem, or whether you've got a young dog or an older dog that you'd like to make a change with. So let's show you some of the touches. Your hands are the most important tools that you have for these touches. And in the beginning, just put your hands on your dog and find simple ways of making a connection, of making your dog feel good about the contact that you have. I do some little slides like this, just kind of in general to get started. Make her feel good here around the lips, down the front legs. Oh, yes, that's a good girl. Yes, that's nice. Work the lips a little bit here. And then we can get into some of the very specifics that you can do. When you have physical problems like stiffness or tension in the body, hyperactivity, nervousness, in the beginning, it's useful to have your dog actually lying down. So I can work on her lying just like this, and I start the get acquainted process with rather large, soft, clockwise circles like this. And notice that my thumb makes a connection, and I move at randomly all over the body. And we've given some animal names to make these touches fun to learn and easy to learn. And all of the names are named after various animals that I've worked with around the world in zoos, and various cows that I've worked on, and horses and dingoes and many, many different kinds of animals. But this basic touch that we use is what we call the clouded leopard. And you hold your hand like a big soft paw, and actually think of your hand as light as a cloud on the body. With this connection, your thumb is like a kind of a connector, a soft grounding here. And these 4 fingers, softly curved, just push the skin in a circle. This is not about massage or deep work or getting in there and totally blissing your dog out. We want this dog to be more active, to think, and if they're nervous, to relax, if they're too laid back, to kind of wake up. And that's what these touches do.
If you have the TTouch cards, take a moment to get them so you can follow along.
The basic TTouch that we use is the clouded leopard. You hold your hand softly in the shape of a big paw, And one of the important things here is to make the connection very softly with your thumb. Soft connection, and these 4 fingers then just rotate, push the skin in 1.5, 1.25 circles. Push the skin in 1.25 circles in a clockwise direction. And what I'd like you to do is practice some of the variations that people get into. Common thing to do is stiffen the fingers and push the skin around fast. Try that. You see, when your fingers are stiffened, it makes you hold your breath, so you can't do a soft circle. So soften this hand, and we're really paying attention to this first joint and the second joint. Dip and pip, these 2 guys. And watch that they move softly, because that allows you to breathe. One of the common deviations when you read about this is to slide over the skin. Now, I'd like you all to do that and feel the difference when you just make a circle over the skin. Now, make the connection with the thumb again and push the skin in a circle without sliding on it. Do you feel the difference? For those of you who don't know the touches, the way you check that pressure is put your thumb gently on the side of your face, just make a contact, and with these first 2 middle finger and forefinger, as gently as you can possibly do it, push the skin on your eyelid in a circle, and then pick your finger up, or fingers, and then make another circle and a quarter. And it's only with enough contact that you don't slip over the skin. That's how light a 1 touch is. And on this leg, on the injured leg, that's all I will be doing. A 3 touch is, and let's try this, is the firmest circle that you can make that's really comfortable. So try a couple of those. That's just what we consider a 3 only. And then go back to the 1. Feel the difference when there's absolutely no pressure and when there's a 3 pressure. It's quite a difference, isn't it? Now go to your arm. Go to the fleshy part of your arm. Make a very light connection with your thumb, your thumb, and then as lightly as possible, push that skin in a circle on your arm, like you did on your eyelid for your 1, and see how little indentation there is. And check the person next to you. Just watch for a moment. Take the person next to you as you do your circle, and see if they're sliding over the skin, because some of you may still be sliding over the skin instead of catching the skin and pushing it. Now observe the just imperceptible amount of indentation. And now go back to the 3, feel that 3 pressure, and go back to your arm and make that pressure, and look at the amount of indentation. Do you see the difference between the 3 and go back to the 1, and then the 3, and now look at the indentation at 3 and go twice as deep. What you imagine twice as deep, and that's like a 6. 6, or with some of you it might even be a 7. But you get a sense of that. Now you'd think, okay, to get a 9, you'd go 3 times deeper. Try it. It stops your breath. So if we want to go really deep on an animal, on a big, strong, muscled animal, instead of pushing harder, which will stop the breath, and I have the feeling it's like stopping the cells. It's like, whoops, what's going on? You tip the fingers, so the fingernails lead, those of you who have them, and now give that pressure of a 9, and you'll find that you can go very deep and you won't hold your breath. I'm going to show you now 9 different touches, plus Noah's March. When I first put my hands on a dog, I do a long stroke on the body, and when we actually stroke from the head, over the ears, down the shoulders, down the back, and hind legs. Oh, it's okay, the good girl. And bring all the body together. That's what we call Noah's March. It's marching all the animals together. The basic touch is the clouded leopard touch with soft, big paw, thumb about 4 inches on the average hand away from the rest of the fingers. Imagine pushing the skin around the face of that clock, approximately 1 circle and a quarter. Pay attention to the breathing. The softness of these joints is what makes the dog really enjoy the touches. That's nice. Now, say your dog doesn't like that contact. Then what you may want to do is soften the hand. And I just imagine, here's the big paw of the clouded leopard. I imagine just kind of stretching out his front legs, just softly, and curving them around the body so that the warmth of my hand then moves a large part of the skin like this. And you can cover a big area and go over the whole dog like this. I often use it around the face with both hands in this case. And normally, with the clouded leopard, one hand keeps a contact so that you sort of have this circle between your hands and the dog, and the other hand works. Sometimes, like here around the face with the lying leopard touch, I'll just use both of them for a few circles. Now, say you've got a dog that does not like to be touched at all. Sometimes you'll see it on the face, for instance. I'll see really hyperactive dogs that don't want contact. I'll do these little hair slides. And depending upon the length of the hair, on the short-haired dogs, you actually pick up a little bit of skin. If you've got a longer-haired dog, you can pick up the hair and actually make your circles like this with using the hair. And I find on really tense, tight dogs, this is a very effective thing to do. I've actually worked on some dogs, particularly show dogs who are really tense, or dogs who have a tendency to bark all the time and have tightened their whole body from barking. And they don't like any kind of touches, even the softest ones. But if you take the hair and move the skin like this in circles, they begin to relax and they're able to accept the contact. And after a while, you'll be able to start to put the warmth of your hand on them and get these big, soft, lying leopard touches. Now, with some dogs, say they're big and kind of hefty and strong, and they're not very interested in what you're going to do on the body, I'll go to then the tiger touch. And I'll just make these big movements, just like this. One hand staying still lightly, and I put my thumb on, and the 4 fingers move in individual circles. And I can go all over the body. And I can cover a large dog in a very few moves in this way. Oh, she says, that feels really good. Oh, yeah. Now here, she's a little sensitive around this area. She says, do my stomach. So as soon as she says, no, that's too much with the tiger touch, because it's actually with the fingernails, then I flatten the hand again, and I'll go into the lying leopard touches. You're a great talker, Jessie. That's nice. Ooh, doesn't that feel good? Yeah. Okay. Whereas the tiger touch is like a big tiger with all the fingernails in. The bear touch is also with the fingernails, with this first joint perpendicular to the body, but with the fingers close together. So it's a very directed touch. And I do this very lightly with the bear touch. It's like the bear claw you can think of. Now, you use that, for instance, around an itchy spot. If your dog has a hot spot or an itchy spot or has a allergy, you can go right into those areas where they're scratching and biting. And I usually put a damp, cool cloth over it and go right through the cloth. And you can get rid of that itch without irritating nerve endings by just working in various directions right around the spot. Now, if it's sore, I use the lying leopard touch first over it, and then go right into those itchy places with the bear touch. Now, the raccoon touch is with the tips of the fingers as opposed to the pads for clouded leopard or straight in for bear touch. So you get onto the little pads there right on the end, and this is a very sensitive part of your fingers. And this is good, for instance, for going into the mouth on the gums, and it's just the little tiny touches. And depending upon the size of your dog, if you're working with a little Maltese or a Chihuahua, you may just use the tips of the forefinger. Whereas if you're working on a large dog, you might use the middle finger leads with the tips, and the other fingers follow. This is really good on stiff or arthritic dogs or for hip dysplasia. We'll use these very tiny directed circles all across the pelvis of a dog with hip dysplasia, for instance, until the fear that they carry from the pain or the pain begins to dissipate and release. Just with the tips. Now, if you've got a dog that doesn't want to be touched all over, that's where you get into the tarantula. And you can do, on the tight dogs, we start at the neck, work over the shoulders, down the back to the hindquarters. And this is a funny touch, really. It was inspired by the skin rolling or choaka that's done on people, but we found that it was really too invasive for dogs. And so what we have done is make something that's quite comfortable, and most animals really enjoy this. And to practice this, what I suggest you do is start with your forefinger and middle finger, and you kind of walk along your dog in lines which run parallel to the ground. And then once I get this rhythm, notice that my fingers are touching about 1.5 inches apart. Then I begin to practice by walking these two little tarantulas along like a team. And once you get that, stretch your imagination and just lay the plow with the thumbs on the side. It's not deep. It's just sliding along after the team of tarantulas to quiet the impulses that you've activated. And if you have dogs that are a little disconnected or afraid of loud noises or very nervous about their surroundings, this movement helps them a lot. For dogs who don't like to be touched, this is something that feels really good, has a tendency to relax them. If you've had a dog who's been injured and not using a part of their body, this helps to integrate the whole body back together. Breathe as you do this. And just to test yourself, hold your breath and try this. See how stiff your fingers are. Because that's what most of us do in the beginning. Whenever we concentrate on something, we have a difficult time breathing. And you'll find as you practice these various movements, they'll be awkward in the beginning, but you'll find them carrying over into other things that you do in your life. So your breathing will change a little bit. You'll become more aware. I find that people become kind of softer in their movements and in their whole body just from working on their dogs. If all you learned from this tape was about working with the ears, you would find it was worth your time and your money. Because knowing these ear strokes has saved the life of many an animal. If you have a dog who's been injured or for some reason has gone into shock, stroke the ears from the base of the ear all the way out to the tips. The reason that this works is that around the base of the ear, there is what's called a meridian that affects the digestive system, the respiratory system, and the reproductive system. And out here on the tips of the ears is a point for shock. And all you have to do is just work softly this whole ear from the base out to the tips. Just this gentle stroke going over every part of the ear. It's sort of like mowing your lawn so that you make sure you touch every part like this. If you have a dog who's been badly injured, on the way to your vet, you can bring them out of shock or keep them out of shock. And shock can kill, so it can make a big difference in the success of treatment once you get to the vet office. In the cases of dogs who are really nervous, stroking the ears in this way calms them. In the case of older dogs who you want to keep as healthy as possible for as long as possible, just a little bit of stroking a few times a week, maybe 3 or 4 minutes while you're sort of sitting around talking or even watching television in the case of the ear strokes, will make a difference in keeping the whole nervous system, the general system of the dog, in a healthier state. Now I'm going to show you the specifics again of the ear slides. It's a soft slide from the base of the ear out to the tips, supporting the ear on the floppy-eared dog from underneath, and often on a tense dog, laying your hand quietly on the top of the head here and just sliding out to the tips. And making sure that you actually cover with each stroke a different part of the ear. You can do these little connected slides with a soft clouded leopard touch here. And long rows to the edge of the ear. That's a girl. Remember the point out here in the end for shock in case of injury or severe fatigue in dogs. Or, for instance, in the difficult labor, with a young bitch that's whelping for the first time, it can be really helpful. Or for your older dogs, these long, soft strokes. Really quiets your nervous dogs. If you've got a puppy, for instance, in a puppy class or going into a strange, into an area with strange dogs for the first time, do a little ear work first and just get them kind of focusing and listening to you. Working on the mouth of your dog is one of the most important things that you can do to work with aggressive dogs, for instance, believe it or not, and also work with nervous dogs. It has the effect of making changes in the emotions of an animal by affecting actually the limbic system, the part of the brain that controls our emotions, by working here around the mouth. And support gently under the chin in this way, sitting behind your dog's head. And then I just begin with my softened, flattened fingers like this and work along the outsides of the lips, going over the eyes just to make them feel good a little bit. It's nice, isn't it, Jessie? Switch your hands and work on this side. That's it. And then once your dog accepts this, go carefully under the lip like this and do little tiny raccoon circles. I'll just show you what I'm doing here. That's a girl. Right on the gums. Now, this not only has the practical effect of helping to change, now, quiet, the emotions, but it's also very practical in terms of getting better circulation of the gums, preparing your dog to go to the vet, to have its teeth cleaned. And she talks sometimes. If she doesn't like what I'm doing, she makes that little growling sound, but that's just her talking. And a lot of people mistake that for thinking the dog is being aggressive. When she does it, I just say, hey, come on now, don't argue with me. Just Relax and enjoy this a little bit. That's a girl. The mouth work is specifically useful for dogs who chew. With your young puppies, the first time I ever actually used these touches on the mouth of a dog was a 6-month-old German Shepherd who belonged to a friend of mine many years ago who was just chewing on everything. Chewing the furniture, the only way of relating to her was chewing, and I went directly to the mouth and started working all around inside these lips and gums, and I worked the tongue, which you can do sometimes on some of your dogs, just kind of softly touch the tongue like this. Come on, Jessie. Yeah, it's a girl. And what happened after about 35 minutes of working is nothing. I didn't see any change at all, and I thought, oh, this was all for naught. And I called about 4 days later, and my friend said, oh, by the way, since you left, my dog hasn't chewed. And I believe what happens is that these teeth are starting to bother them, and when you get in there and directly address those sore gums, that it really can make a difference. That's very nice. Whoa, get in there, work those gums. I actually started this tail work because of the work I do with horses. And I was giving a horse clinic many years ago when one of the participants came with a story that her husband was driving home to their ranch with their old Labrador in the truck who could not trot anymore. He was so stiff, and he was very stiff behind. Going around a corner, the pickup truck door swung open, the dog slid out over the slippery seat, and her husband grabbed him by the tail, jerked him back in just as he's about to slide out, and continued on. When they got home, the dog, for the first time, jumped out of the car and trotted off. So I began to see some of the value of using this tail for connecting the whole body. And remember in these circular touches that you can also, in pulls like this, you can also affect the emotions of dogs who are timid, your fear biters, your dogs who are afraid of loud noises and thunder. Now, from this down position, I can start taking the tail and very gently pull the tail in a slow release. That's a girl. Down you go. That's a girl. Flatten out. That's nice. That's a girl. Down you go. That's nice. That's good. That's good. That's it. And this is a very relaxing thing, as you can imagine, to do. For fear biters, when you can get them to this point that they can accept this takes that fear away from the whole hindquarter area where they hold that emotion. Now, believe it or not, working your dog's tail can make a major change in both behavior and also in gait. If you have a dog who tends to be timid and carries the tail between the legs, just pick the tail up and start working the root of the tail here, where I'm holding firmly and circling in both directions in this case. And I just slide down the tail inch by inch like this, rotating in both directions. If you have a tail, the type of dog that has the tail that comes up, follow the natural shape of the tail. Or if the dog has a naturally low tail carriage, just go out a little bit in this direction toward the ground rather than straight out. Easy now. That's a good girl. With dogs who are fear biters, for instance, I'll start by relaxing them and getting them acquainted with the contact of the lying leopard touches on the body so they begin to trust me. Then I'll go to the ears where it's pretty safe. And then if I can, as soon as I can, I'll get to the mouth, because usually the fear biters don't want to be touched on the hindquarters. So our ultimate goal is to be able to get back here and work on the inside of the thigh and on the tail. And once you can get back there, they lose the fear. And we've had just really seemingly miraculous results with very rather aggressive dogs. With the straight aggression, whether it's toward people or animals, we use a combination of the ground exercises and the touches all over the body, pretty much everywhere. I want to make sure that I get down the shoulders and into the feet of those dogs. I want to give them a whole new awareness of the whole body so that they relate to themselves, because the way we see aggression is coming from a place of fear. So if we deal with that aggression by hanging the dog, which is a very common thing to do, or by throwing him down and pinning him, we're creating more fear. And what we want to do is create a greater awareness and intelligence in this animal so that your dog is able to deal with the surroundings by being able to figure things out, by having choices of actions instead of reactions. In cases of loud noises and thunder, we have had so many dogs who in 4 sessions of working around the hindquarters and tail, down the legs, right into the feet, and don't forget this working into the pads in your fearful or very hyperactive dogs, working the ears, and of course getting back to these working in the gums and the mouth for the emotional changes that we want. For working dogs who for instance, have had various injuries, all kinds of injuries, from broken pelvises to amputations, all kinds of injuries that dogs get. We find that working gently all over the body and just waking up this body again, giving your dog a feel of where it feels safe and okay, and the areas where there's a little uh-oh feeling about contact, that when we make them feel safe, they're able to function in a more effective way. This work is very different from petting or stroking or just massaging. And one of the primary differences is that our intent is to awaken the intelligence of the body. We're actually kind of talking to the cells here, saying, hey, come on, you guys, wake up. Wake up to the more effective functioning that's possible in this body. And it's just kind of giving them a new sense of themselves all over, to activate more self-confidence, more self-control, so that you have not only an obedient dog, but a cooperative dog who really enjoys working with you. And one of the things that we have found in biofeedback research is that there's actually a measurable change in the brainwave patterns of dogs when we do these 1 1/4 circles. And what we were getting in 2 research projects that we did was an activation of all 4 brainwave patterns, that including the brainwaves that we humans use for logical thinking. And that's why I believe that the work helps dogs to think, to go on beyond just instinctive reactions. Because I want my companion or my show dog or that dog that is going to be doing some function that is important to me, to be able to think their way through it and not just act like a pack animal. Now, also from the lying down position, as you work down the shoulders and down to the feet, you can also take these legs when the dog is both lying down and standing, and just gently move the shoulder and move the legs in non-habitual ways and directions. And what this does is activate unused neural pathways to the brain so that you actually make your dog smarter. And what we find with this work is that you by doing these non-habitual movements in the circles, you can take a dog beyond the instinctive responses that they normally have and actually teach them how to think and be smarter. That's a girl. We just move them in all gentle ways. Now, this is also really useful when they're standing, which I'll demonstrate to you when she's up on 4 feet. As we move down the legs, I just give her a feeling of these legs to get her more connected to the ground. And I'll really work in carefully around the pads. If you've got a dog who's really nervous, you'll find that they don't like their feet touched as a rule. So you get in here and do these little tiny circles. That's nice. That's a girl. And this is really helpful for preparing your dog for nail trimming. When they're nervous about having the feet touched, I've known many owners who had to have their dogs actually tranquilized when they were taken to, and have to be taken to the vet to be trimmed because they were so afraid of these nails. And if you have a dog who is, for instance, not as clear in the gait as you'd like them to be, work the feet to get a good connection to the ground. It affects the balance, and when I talk about balance, I don't just mean the physical balance, but also the mental and the emotional balance of your dog, just from working all the way down to these feet. Now, Jessie, you get up, and we're going to, that's a girl. Now, there's another way of doing this, and that is, this is really helpful for the nervous dog, for the dog who's afraid of loud noises and thunder, is to take the legs and work this back and forth like this. Do little circles in both directions. And by doing this with her standing as opposed to lying down, that is with this healthy dogs, that's it. We teach her a little different use of her body. That's a girl. That's nice. And don't force it. It's very important to be gentle. No pain, no gain is not something I believe in for animals because they don't really have a choice about this. So I want to make it always comfortable for them. Now there's another thing we can do here that we call the little python lifts, and it's when you put your fingers around the leg, and I have to support her to keep her here, to talk her into staying here with me. I put my hand gently around this, and I just slide up and pause a little and slide down. Go a couple of inches lower. Come on, up, slide down. Down the leg I go. What I'm doing is connecting her down into the ground. Again, for nervous dogs, this is really useful. Dogs who don't like to have their feet touched. And often this is much easier to get to these feet and pads like this if they're standing. And I can fold the touchy dog's foot up against the leg, and they'll be much more accepting of contact with this foot than if I'm trying to touch it when she's lying down. That's nice. That's it. And we do a long stroke then to reconnect the body down into the feet. And this long stroke is what we call Noah's March. You're marching all of these animal names back together again. That's nice. Okay, Jess.
The first day we were petrified of him. He was just this fierce attack dog.
Thor was just reacting. Okay, that's enough, Joe. Okay, that's enough. Now, let's come down here. What we're seeing here is that he goes after anybody, doesn't it? Okay.
Okay, Chippy, sit.
Linda,
Sit.
this dog's not fixed. Could that be part of it?
It sure helps to neuter them, doesn't it?
Sit.
And this is a really important thing. This dog with this kind of behavior should go to the vet next week and be neutered, because this doesn't get better. This doesn't, when the testosterone starts working, and he's a 2-year-old, and he has this kind of attitude in this situation, this can become a very aggressive dog. Whereas you neuter him and do, it just makes it easier for him. It's not fair, And he's threatened, and his reaction is that trigger reaction, I'm afraid, attack. Other dogs are afraid, and they, whimper and crouch and go into submission. He doesn't do that, and it really can be the testosterone. You take away that that problem of hormones, and that will really help him. So now I'm preparing him to accept the halter, but also to listen to me. I'm doing, now this is one of the moves that you can use to say, now look at, I'm going to be head dog. I'm going to be top dog. I'm going to be alpha dog. But I can do it without throwing him down. I can do it without putting him in a position where he has to physically submit to me by lying on his back, because I want to get him to listen but not go into those instinctive submissive positions, because they stop thinking when they do that. And I'm really working around these eyes. And you've all seen this, haven't you? When another dog, and they must do this in the pack, where the older dog, the alpha dog, will put their mouth. Doesn't he do that with them? Well, I think if you watch, it'd be interesting to watch it, because Anna Witan has been working with 6 dogs, male dogs from the same litter, all entire. And there's a big problem with those dogs, because they're all coming to the point that they're now challenging the alpha dog. It's a good fellow. So what we have to do is get this guy beyond instinct. Now this is common, that he'll fight with me, that he won't let me take his head when I come from underneath. See, he'll give it to me, or usually they'll give it to you fairly fast from above, but when I come underneath, that's different. Now I want him to learn to just quietly give me his head, whether I take it from underneath or above the muzzle. And with many shelter dogs, dogs that we get that come from out of shelters who are hysterical, boy, it sometimes takes as much as 45 minutes to get that dog to accept this. They will hate it in the beginning, because they don't want anything that takes away their freedom. And once they kind of figure out what it is that you're asking, then they can go along with you, but instinctively they don't want to submit as they see it. And if you can hold it as, now wait a minute, we're going to learn to work together. We're going to cooperate together here. I don't want you just to submit to me. I want you to figure this out. It's a good dog. It's a very good guy. It's nice. Now you notice I've got him around the collar. He's not staying here on his own. And a lot of times people say to me, well, my dog won't stand still for the touch. Well, hold him. In the beginning, it's necessary with some dogs. When dogs are resistant, there has to be a point of containment until that dog accepts that. And it depends how you do it. If you pin them, they'll first resist and then go into submission. I want to contain them so that they get that they have to stay there, but I don't want them to go into just non-thinking submission. So it's a fine line.
Have you ever had a dog try to bite you when you're doing it?
No. No, if he's likely to bite me, I won't have my hands here. And you notice, the thing is, I'll be working back here on the head, but you notice the thing is that I'm from behind him. It's very different. Do not do this facing your dog. It's not safe.
Even your own dog?
No, I mean a dog that's aggressive.
Okay.
I mean an aggressive dog. Don't face an aggressive dog and try to do this. Or even a strange dog that's a little nervous. Because you force them then to react. Now, I need a size 3 halter. It's a good fellow. What I want to do, and what I'm doing here with these circular touches, is giving him a differentiated sense of his body. Waking up the individual parts of his body, and at the same time, what I'm doing here is each place that I touch like this with these circles in order for him to feel this and respond, there's a part of his brain that sends these signals. And you get the zick, zick. You get these neural impulses that are activated in order for him to feel this part of his body. And if I just stroke, this is a very undifferentiated feel. It's, I mean, he can feel it, but it's all kinds of, undifferentiated parts of the brain that are activated. So when we do very specific touches, there's a part of that, those cells that are sending the signals right to this part. It's kind of like turning on the lights in the map in this brain. So the more differentiated you can make them, the more aware you make them, and the more aware an animal is, that is, not consciously, but feeling the body, the more they can figure things out, the more intelligent they will become, because you're activating this brain in a way that this dog could never do without you doing the touches. Now notice the touches that I'm using here. This is a different touch. This is called the tiger touch. You hold your hands like this big paw with the fingernails going in, and each fingernail, each finger pushing the skin in that circle. So I cover a big area, and it goes, the feeling goes very deep when you go in with the fingernails. Try this on yourselves, and you'll feel without more pressure, you get a really deep feeling in the body.
The deep feeling comes because of the finger.
Because it's very direct. It's just like a little needle going in there. Whereas if you use the pads, try it with the pads, and you'll find that it's over a larger area. It's not as differentiated. So, yeah, if you don't have nails, you're in trouble with this one. You just have to zap in with your mind.
We grew ours out just for the
Great. Yeah, some people, I gave a clinic with Jane Fonda last month, and she had cut her fingernails just for the clinic, thinking they needed to be shorter. And they actually, you need about 1/8 of an inch of fingernail to use the bear touch and the tiger touch effectively. Now the tiger touch, like a big paw, this is with all 4 fingers making the circles and the thumb connecting. And the bear touch is when you go in very specifically with the fingers together and fingernails straight in, and you just get in one very small area. Now, it's common that dogs, even though we've prepared his head here, they don't like this. Sometimes for the first 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 10 minutes. And see, he's pushing as hard as he can into the ground. And I'm bringing his head up out of the position he wants to take it, because he wants to bury his head. Now, I know, fellow, I know. Okay, here's your good dog. Very good dog. No. Come on. Oops. Now, out of her lap. Now, it takes a lot of strength for me to hold him back just with the collar. And when I'm using the Halti, I never use a choke collar with it. I want the buckle collar, because the choke collar, when you pull and release, it puts him out of balance. And we want to bring him into balance, not out. It's a good fellow. Now, what's important here is I support him, first of all, on the collar with little signals on the head. And when you have a dog who attacks other dogs or other people, this is so effective, because you know that you can keep him back from that other dog without a lot of strength. Easy, son. This does not work well if you get a grasp with your fist. Try this. Make a fist with your hands, and you will find that you won't be able to breathe as well. Anytime you lock any joint in your body, what you're doing when you make a fist, you become less flexible in the other joints. So it means I'm not in balance as much, and I can't move as easily. So I want to keep thumb and forefinger. And in the beginning, I'll separate my hands, because I've taken 150-pound dogs that a 200-pound man could not hold on a chain. And working this way in about 15 minutes, have them walking easily, not pulling. Come. No. Good girl. All right, every time he puts his head down, I'm going to lift it up. Just correct him to come up. That's it. That's a good guy. That's a good guy. Let's bring easy, easy. That's nice. Yeah. Just because he's not thinking. When he takes it down, he's trying to escape. So I just bring it up a little more than he'd like to at first. And he's being very good. Usually, or often, they'll paw. If you don't do the preparation I did, and sometimes even if you do, they'll paw this. They're trying to get their foot over the line, like that. Now, what I like about this halter is that he can open his mouth as much as he wants. There's no restriction on how much he can open the mouth. I'm not at all in favor of the muzzles that keep the mouth closed. It's not fair. It really panics them and they can't pant. Now notice here, I'm on this collar. And he's got his head a little bit higher. Now often in the beginning they feel chagrined, they feel embarrassed, they feel panicked, they don't understand it. And the dog needs a lot of reassurance that this is not about punishment. I'm not punishing you. This is a lesson that we're going to learn together. Come on. I had a 10-month-old lab puppy in a clinic in Texas a couple of years ago, brought in by a 9-year-old child. And it was a lovely puppy, but she couldn't lead her. The dog led the child everywhere. And we put a halter on her in 10 minutes, working through the maze, the labyrinth, and working around like this. She trotted off and took her back to the car, and the child was leading the dog instead of vice versa. Just come along. That's nice. That's a boy. Come along. That's nice.
But you eventually want to be able to lead the dog without the halter.
It depends. If it's a big dog that has a tendency to be strong, I've known some dogs that just stay on the halter. And in other cases, you use this a few times and take it off. If you've got a strong dog with a lot of energy and you're going out where you're not sure what the situation is with other people or dogs, you just feel so much more confidence being like this. And once your dog gets the feeling, come along, the feeling of this, you can then take the lead in 2 hands. And there are 2 ways to do it. In the beginning, I will hold them like this, so that I can take with my little finger, with this under part of my hand, or I slide up and take the halter. And as soon as I get into a difficult situation, I just take 2 hands. And then when they go along nicely, I use 1 hand. Come along. And you learn to slip the line a little bit now. Now, come with me. See, I take the second hand. Come along. Good boy. Wait. Sit. That's very nice. The more we can teach our dogs and reward them for it, the more they'll want to please us. And I feel that I want a dog to enjoy working with me and know that he's going to be made a lot of when he does it. Instead of being so tense, if we can reward them for their positive behavior instead of punishing them for the negative behavior, they work better for us and they don't have the stress. I mean, you think about if you know someone's going to be after you, and every time you do something wrong, how are you going to be in your body? Tight. Now, this is a 4-foot wand, and on dogs like this, on the larger dogs or dogs who have a tendency to attack, I want this longer wand that I can reach out and just go. And if you have a dog, for instance, you're walking out in an area where other dogs may come up and hassle your dog, just carry one of these along. You'd be amazed. I stroke the dog and say, hey, to those other dogs, and they back off. And it just gives you a feeling of safety so you don't feel so stressed. Let's start with a small dog so it's less threatening to him, and then we'll work up to the larger dogs, because it might be too much for him. And this stroking that I'm doing, this we call a wand, this stick, because it works like magic. And I can reach out with like a lengthened arm, and I can reassure him without getting too close, so that sometimes when a dog is aggressive with another dog, I think they have to protect the person, and they'll have a tendency then, the closer you get, the more protective they'll feel. So I want him to learn to keep his spacing, keep his distance from me, and I can stroke all the way down to his tight paws, if he's nervous, under his stomach, down the back legs, and down his back. That's a very good fellow, because I don't want him crowding into me for protection. That forces him to be protective. Now you're going to come up, and I'm not going to face them first. I'm going to walk her past on that line and let him see her come from the side. Because these dogs that are not socially adjusted, who aren't socially adjusted, they want to play sometimes, and they see another dog, and instead of being playful, they become aggressive. The other dog gets afraid and they attack. We saw that a lot in the last clinic. Okay, let's come up and walk past. And at first, you walk between them. You're going to walk, Jesse's going to walk on the other side of you. Now, I can hold him with this halter. I would not do this if I did not have the halter on, because I couldn't hold this dog back. It's a very good dog. You're just going to walk right there. It's a very good dog. She's good. She's very nice. Yes, she's just going to walk up beside you. That's a good dog. It's a good dog. That's a very good fellow. You're all right. Now I'm going, you walk back in this direction. I want you to turn your head this way so you can just see a little bit. That's a nice dog. You can be on the other side now. That's a very good boy. It's a very good dog. That's nice. Quiet, quiet. That's a boy. Now, you stay there, and I'm going to walk up and down with him. If you come to, maybe to that point. That's a good boy. She's okay. She's a very nice dog. She's a very nice girl. Yes, that's it. You can wag your tail. You come this way. Come along. Good, 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 good dog. Come along. Come with me. Yeah, it's okay. See, he's wanting to get his head away. He's afraid. Now, when he thinks he can't attack, he's showing his fear. Or when the instinct isn't to attack. He says, oh my God, it's all right. Just come along. Come on. Dance with me. Come on. See that? Wanting to hide behind me? Now you come up on the other side here. It's okay. Notice how I'm holding him between two hands? You pick up that leash. Good fellow. That's very nice. Now we're going to put him in what we call the journey of the homing pigeon. If you back up just a step, when you have aggressive dogs or timid, this is really helpful because, or dogs who are really attached to one person, you start giving a little space. And this way, he watches both of us with both eyes as we walk along. And so it activates his brain in a whole new way, in a very non-habitual way. That's the girl. Now, Jessie, if you come over here, and Jessie, you're going to walk by. That's it. That's nice. Go ahead.
Should I walk around
Walk,
him?
and we're going to follow him. Jessie, we're going to follow Jessie. When you have attack dogs, you want to walk them behind the other dog. Or when you, quiet, stop, stop. Now, see what I did right across the nose? One tap. Is not acceptable. No growling. Now, he didn't attack, which is an improvement. But growling, not one tiny growl is acceptable.
So no lip raising,
No lip raising, definitely not. That's the same as growling. It's not okay. You've got to change their mind. It's a very nice dog. Now, you're going to be a good fellow, and we're going to make it safe for you. So you don't have to worry about her. We'll help you. Come along. Good girl. Stop. Jessie, good girl. And I'll reach out and stroke her. That's a very nice dog. Very nice dog. Okay, you go ahead. Now what we'll be doing tomorrow is working them through obstacles like this. behind each other, then he'll go ahead of her, then we'll go side by side with two people like this. You see, because you kind of block the effect, the normal behavior. That's a very good girl, Jessie. You're being very brave. You're being very brave. Very brave. That's nice. That's excellent. That's nice. Now we're going to go this way, and we're going to have Jessie follow him. Now notice what I do with my wand. When I want him to follow, I stroke the ground where I want him to go. And it's like laying a trail, kind of. See, he's a little nervous with her behind him. That's very nice. Wait. Good. Now you come up along there. Good dog. Now it's really important when you're working to reassure the dog and stay present. Because if he feels that I'm laughing at him, he will not feel good. So it's very important to be empathetic and know that this is not easy for him. It's okay, Jess. That's it. That's nice. Good dog. Now I'll take the wand back here. Now he's wagging his tail. That's nice. That's okay. Now, what we can also do here with Jessie behind him, and when I stroke him like this with the wand, and Stephanie strokes him, that's a little like Jessie reaching out to touch him. That's nice. Let's bring your tail up a little bit. Now we need a little tail work here. Notice how his hind feet are spread. He's unbalanced. That means he's holding his breath. Physical, mental, and emotional balance are all connected. So if you have a dog that's standing, spread-legged, not when they're obviously set up for show, but when they're just standing there naturally, they're not in such good balance. And their emotional and mental balance will not be as good. And you'll see a lot of these dogs who are afraid of thunder who will spread their legs and shake, get their feet under them. It helps a lot. Come along. Stroke the ground in front of her. Stroke her front chest and her paws, and then lead it out so she can see it. Don't put it right under her nose. It's like you laying a little rabbit trail there. Good fellow. Now we'll turn and you come behind us again, Anna. Now, could you bring him up and follow Anna?
Okay, I better get off the stage.
Yeah, why don't you move the chair?
I better.
Now, we have to reassure him, don't we? It's a very nice dog. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. Yes. Now we'll turn and get in the room. Oh, it's okay, sweetie. It's okay. Notice how I have the leash now in one hand with a finger between. Who's this big dog? Who's this big dog? Look at his tail go into tuck. I work his tail. That's nice. It's okay. Come on, up you come. That's a boy. Oh, you're being very brave. Easy, son. Oh, you're being so good. Come on, this way. Yes, you're being very brave, dog. It's all right. Come on. Now we'll take Jessie down and just work with this guy. Wait. It's all right. It's all right. Now let's turn and let him watch this dog. Come on. No, you have to come this way. You go over there. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Shh. It's all right. Yes, I'm doing. Yes, it's very nice. Oh, it's all right. It's all right. You're doing extremely well. Now you walk around us. That's nice. Easy. Good dog. Good dog. Careful, careful. That's nice. Okay, we'll walk behind you now. Come on. No, it's okay. We're just going to follow him. And it's harder for Stephanie because the instinct of the person without the halter is to pull. When he pulls a little, pay attention and just release. Because without the halter, if you pull, you'll cause him to feel pressured. Okay, stop. That's nice. Look at this nice big dog ahead of you. Look at this nice. Look at this lovely dog. He's a very nice kiddo. That's a very nice kiddo. That's excellent. See, that's just a big dog like you, but he's white and he's a little bigger. That's nice. That's excellent. You're a lovely fellow. You're very nice. Now we're going to turn. Oops, we'll let him sniff a little more. That's nice. Good. Yeah. Is that a nice dog? Is that a nice dog? Yeah. Now we're going to turn and walk ahead. And we'll let him come up now behind this guy. It's okay. It's okay. And let him sniff at him. It's okay. That's a good boy. That's nice. Good. That's very nice. It's all right. Easy, easy. Now I let him turn his head a little, but I keep stroking and touching him. Good. And I just, although I'm letting him turn his head, I have this leash so he could not go after him if he suddenly panicked. That's very brave. Would you like to turn around and look at him? Like to turn and look at him? Should we walk side by side? Should we try walking side by side? Would you feel okay with that? Yes, that's nice. Now that's the first time he's dared to look up. Yeah. Let's come along beside this dog. It's okay. It's okay. Come on. Oh, yes. Yes. That's a nice boy. That's a nice boy. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Let's try wagging your tail. Just careful. We're a little bit close. We're a little close. Now what we need next, after this introduction, this is enough because this is a big step for him. What we need tomorrow is to give him the fun of going through all kinds of obstacles that we'll do. He'll go through tires and over screens and up and down things and do something where he can feel like he's having a good time. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Now let's actually walk them beside each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want Columbus in this group?
He can follow. Columbo. You just walk them across there, and let's see if we can walk them side by side up over the rail.
Okay. Rosie, let's do that, Rosie.
Oh, walk them together on the rail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait for Rosie. Good girl. That's nice. Here.
We were all thrilled in 3 days to see what the Tellington Touch can do for a dog.
Good, Rosie.
I had never seen it on problem animals, and it just was amazing. And he also learned some discipline through the Tellington Touch, which I think he had missed
Can you come
before.
over and sit down?
And I
now?
think that's an important part of incorporating discipline and respect at the same time, which the Tellington Touch does.
Overwork this. And come here. What we can do, come here. Now, you know what? You have to lie down. Because one of the things that you have to take care of first, before this leg, is what? She's thrown all her weight over onto the other hip and leg. She's then thrown it, because she puts more weight here, she throws it across to this shoulder, and this shoulder then takes more weight and she throws it to the other shoulder. So your first concern are the other three limbs and shoulders and hips.
She actually had both legs in a cast for a while because she was so bad about getting to the stitches on this one that the vet had it in a cast for about 10 days.
So what we'll be doing with her is, Gertie, can you lie down? Can you go down?
I'm afraid to, because last time I tried to put her down,
No,
she
I'd
winced.
rather she. Can you lie down? Now, she may not be able to. I mean, in other words, it may be hard for her. So wait a second. What I suggest we do is take the towel there, and we'll make it easy for her. we'll put it under her, sort of like a sling, fold it in thirds. And no, the other way, wrong way, yeah. And what you want to do is get creative with this stuff. We'll put it under her now. That's it. And just put it under here. And let's just
Lift her.
lift a little bit.
Which side do you want her down?
No, I'm not going to put her
Oh,
down.
okay.
We're going to work her up. And we can take some of the pressure off like this and start to do the touches in this way. That's a girl. And I'm going to start on the shoulders first. That's a very nice girl. That's a girl. Now notice she just started to extend the right hind leg. You see, she reached to the floor with it.
No,
Okay, stay by your mom.
Sorry.
Okay. That's a girl.
Last night she was in a lot of pain, so I just did ear pulls on her really lightly. And I was afraid to touch, to touch her anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. That's a girl. You have to be so careful about putting them down. Lying them down, because they can really, you can really injure them by.
I tried before, and she yelped.
Yeah. Now, once you were, it's interesting. In spite of what I said, my hands, for some reason, want to go to this particular area, even though I normally start on other parts of the body. It's a girl.
I'm concerned about the color, and I haven't asked the vet if that's okay. Look at the color of the back leg. How it's all pale.
Yeah. You just have to give it time.
Yeah.
See it as taking time,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't get too concerned about it because these can change so much. That's a girl. That's a girl. That's nice. That's a girl.
But Gertie loves the touch, and like I said, she's gotten a lot of touch, and now when she comes up to greet people, she doesn't come up with her face to give you a kiss. She'll like back her back end in, so you start touching her.
Okay, now what I'm going to have you do is just do the best that you can with her, and maybe when you take her back, she may lie down in her.
I think one of the strongest things that I've gotten out of this weekend is remembering how many different parts of a being there are. And we came here specifically for Gertie's physical being and to help her with the leg and to get the most out of the healing that she was able to do. And what's really hit me, especially today, she's gotten her old, before the injury, like her old sense of humor and her spirit and kind of her strutting around, and we really haven't seen any of that. And I forgot that that's a big part of Gertie, is really who she is, not of how well she walks, but, if she's happy and has her sense of humor, that's what we came to accomplish. And I didn't realize that when I came here. And she's a great girl, and I'm really glad to have that part of her back. So thank you.
And I've gone to a couple of puppy demonstrations where trainers have demonstrated how you teach a dog to lead. And they just took a hold of them and just dragged them until they stopped putting on the brakes like this, and finally, would jump and buck and rear like that, and finally they learned to come. But using the two lines like this is what makes it so nice, when you just kind of give those little feeling, those little touches like you did. She has a chance to cooperate, and Gabi's really warning her. That's what you did that was so nicely.
I don't know what I did.
But you just got the feel, didn't you? Yeah. Do you want to just show us once more what you were doing before? I'd just really like us to see this, where you just kind of set your hand however you were, making her lead when she didn't do it. See if you can do it, just up here.
Oh, making her?
Yeah, like you did when she wasn't leading. No, she won't do this much longer. I mean, in other words, she even after a little bit of, yeah.
Just like that.
And then she turns away from you, right? Okay, we get the idea. Now, you just do a couple of minutes of what you did with Uta, of helping her along, and every time she stops, you just do a little work on her, and then take her forward again. And what was important is that they stood her up. You see, when she resists, she sits down and then starts pulling. So when you lift her, like they did, and put her on 4 feet, that's when she stops going into resistant mode, and she can start to get balanced because she has all 4 feet under her, and then she can start to move. That was very nice. See how she gives a little tug and release? It's the release that gets them to come. It's not the pull. Now, let's take the wand and stroke her and, lead her, sort of like a cat. You know, you saw how you did that? This might be a little too long for you. Let's take a shorter one. Here's a 3-foot one. That's better for her. Isn't that nice? And you can stroke her chest and down her front legs and over her back. That's nice. And then you just stroke it onto the ground and slide it along in front of her and give her a little signal as you do that. Isn't that interesting? What a good girl. What a good girl. Yeah. Okay, you go on, Miss Copy. Go on now. Stroke the ground. Isn't that fun? Now, the next thing that you can stroke her body a little, just in between you stroke her body and make her feel good. That's nice. Now bring her back once more. You might try the 2 hands like this, Gabby. It's a little tricky, like you had her so nice before. You take the wand in one hand in the line here, and then you can, come on. And sometimes you have to take the leash underneath to bring the chin up a little. Come on, let's get your little paws. Come on. Come on. That's the girl. That's the girl. Come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. It's all right. It's all right. Now, what we'll do, let's get another dog up here so she can follow. And that reinforces this. Who would be good to get her? Who leads?
Yeah, she likes Zach.
Okay, let's follow Zach. You take her now, and you just follow Zach. And this is what we'll be doing with the labyrinth. That's very nice. You bring him up. That's excellent.
Yeah, remember Zach?
And you shorten the leash a little bit, okay? So you hold it up a little closer there. That's very nice. And you lead around and you walk in a big circle here. We'll make this a little bit easier. It's a good girl, Heidi. Come on. Come on. Come on. That's the girl. Okay. You lead us. You lead us. Come on. That's nice. That's a girl. That's a good girl. Oops. Oopsie. Now you can take this. You see if you could. Let's try it without the wand now. It's a little hard. You hold that up close and guide her up under the elbows. A little tricky here to get this. But see if you can do it. That's a girl. Talk to her. Good girl. Good girl. There you go. You lead us, Zach. Come over here. I mean, Zach, you're good. Come on, way over here. Let's pick your leash up here. Boy, you shorten that leash. Okay. You lead right down to the end. That's very nice. Okay, come on, you two. Excellent. Now this little hoop that we've got here really works. If you've got a dog that pulls, you put it around the chest or around, like between the front legs, over one front leg, or if they don't come forward behind and they really pull back, you can kind of give them a little help from behind. And if you've got a dog that is, oops, come on, let's go. She's had enough. She's done very well. You lead us around once more. Can you do that? That's very nice. So the question is, how often, how long? Two of the normal questions that we get. If you do this just a few times a week in the beginning, and for as little as 10 minutes, you'll begin to see changes in your dog. And I find that if one day you may just work the ears and the lips, another day you may work the back and the shoulders, another day you may work the hindquarters and the tail, for instance. It doesn't have to be the whole dog, depending upon the size. If you've got a Chihuahua or a Maltese or one of the little dogs, you probably want to do your whole dog. What's important is how you focus into the circles, that you quiet yourself as you do this work, that you remember to breathe. And it's worthwhile, before you start, to just kind of sit down and take a few deep breaths at the end of a long day. I find that not only will you see the behavior of your animal change, but physical difficulties and problems will begin to clear up. I find that the relationship that you have with your dog will begin to deepen, and you'll find that you'll get as much out of doing these touches as your dog does, just by that. It's like an interspecies connection that you'll begin to experience. Trust the process. I don't believe the way this stuff works. I mean, I get so many letters from people saying that they just saw the video or even read a short article or read my book, and they were able to make changes in dogs that had had behaviors for many, many years in just a short time. And I think one of the stories that I remember most was many years ago. I was doing a television show in Germany, and I had only 2 minutes for the dog, to work on a dog, and they brought this sort of little fear-biting dachshund in, and I said, okay, if you come home after work, just kind of do a few of these simple circles. I didn't even call them the clouded leopard circles, all over your dog, and see what happens. It can't hurt. And the studio received a call about 3 days later saying that this woman had come home, after watching the show, and her dog, who was an Irish setter who always wanted more from her, sat down as usual wanting any kind of attention, and she just did 2 to 3 minutes of circles on her, and for the first time the dog put her head down on her paws and watched this woman go about her duties getting dinner. And that took a lot of guilt off her about not giving enough attention. So it's the quality of time and attention that you give that will really make a difference. So as you can see, what you get from this is a very relaxed dog after a little bit of practice. And if you've got a dog that's too relaxed and you want to wake them up, I'll show you one last touch. And this is what we call the flick of the bear's paw. Ah, wake up, come on. That's a girl. Show them that you really are alive. Have fun with your dogs doing the touch.